Well, Nitin, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Talent Matters podcast live. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all right.
No, it's good. Lovely set. Amazing.
I did say before, but for the benefit of the camera, this is based on my experience when I came to do yours. So it was a very cool setup. And I thought that's much better than, as you've even said, much better than just kind of, a desk or whatever it is. So
I call it smoke and mirrors. Because, if the set looks good, then it doesn't matter about the two people. It might be the most boring podcast. But people will be like, oh, what's that? I like that. Where's that from?
Yeah. Well, that's from Made, I think.
I like it.
So
I like this sofa as well. It's very comfy.
I think that's from... No, I don't know where that is. I think we inherited that somewhere along the lines. We've been through a few offices over the years now. And
I know the journey.
Sometimes you just inherit pieces of furniture.
Yeah. The landlord doesn't want rid of it. So you're like, well, we'll have it.
Yeah, so we'll take that. So I hope it's comfortable. Thanks to the previous purchaser of that. Yeah. So, but actually, you shouldn't say that because maybe they'll see this and they'll be like,
there's our sofa. Right?
That's where it's gone. We'll get on to that. So anyway, welcome. Thanks very much for
having me.
For coming and joining us. Hopefully we'll have an interesting discussion and we won't fill the all the time with people looking, doing the whole AI thing on circling that and trying to find it. Yeah. But we're going to talk a little bit about community and the importance of the community within recruitment, and then a little bit around startups. You're highly experienced. You've been around recruitment businesses for umpteen years. You can tell us how many years in a minute. So a little bit around helping startups. What little advice could you give someone that's either thinking about starting a recruitment agency or having just started a recruitment agency, scratching there going, oh, bloody hell, what am I going to do here? Mm-hmm. And we'll see wherever else we end up.
Sounds good to me.
So, but I have to, before we kind of kick off and get into that, I have to say I feel a little bit like the master and the apprentice here, because you run a very successful podcast, RecTalks. Very, very cool. Very, very good.
Thank you.
So please don't put me under too much pressure.
Hey, no pressure at all. It's nice being on this side and not having to feel the silence. So
well,
that's good.
And this is what I wanted to kind of, highlight as well, because you are the one normally asking all the questions, and people have their moment in the lights around what they've done, but your LinkedIn profile talks about trying to make change within the recruitment industry. You've worked at a recruitment agency, you've run a recruitment agency, you've set up RecTools as well, which is around kind of bringing in all of the various different tools and suppliers to recruitment to help people choose better tools. And you're now running a podcast. So, you've got quite an interesting story. So let's, have your 5 minutes of fame,
I appreciate that.
Give us a little bio of you, because
I think it's
pretty interesting.
I think it's undiagnosed ADHD. I get bored really quickly. I got told the other day, like, oh, you're a really good ideas man. Like you think of an opportunity and you're like, right there's something there. We need to kind of delve a bit deeper. And I have to obviously stop myself quite a few times because there's a lot of unrealized ideas that never really make it out there.
Yeah. But that's a sign of an entrepreneur, isn't it?
Well, yeah. You're a madman, I think for me, it's more of a, I want to be the color red in a sea of black and white, right? Mm-hmm. The kind of everybody's doing this, and then I kind of go, I'm going to try this because I just feel like it's going to work. And over time, people tend to start looking over and go, hang on a minute, it might be onto something here. And so that's where kind of the whole thing started for me for RecTools. Yeah. Because again, running a recruitment business, you sat there and you're like, man, we need a new CRM, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I could jump on LinkedIn and put a little note out, and I'm just going to get hounded by really good
4,000 comments on
right,
it.
And that's their job, and they're good salespeople. But then that's the thing: have I bought the product because it's right for me, or have I bought the product because the salesperson was really, really good?
Yeah.
Because we got stung with that before as well. We, when we were looking at invoice financing, we didn't pick the best deal for us. We picked the guy that we liked.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that that's how kind of the sales world was back then. But I had this kind of gut feeling that things are changing. We don't buy things like that in the real world. And for some reason in business, we seem to still be doing it the traditional way. But if the market's going to move in the way that I think it's going to, there needs to be an unbiased kind of whole of market thing where everything is there and I can do my own research. You know, there's a big rise in DIYers. There's a big rise in people who have like tried coding for themselves, people who pick up an instrument and start teaching themselves to play. Humans are sort of, in my mind, just curious beings and like to do things themselves. And I thought, at that time was like, no, this is the way the market's moving for SaaS and for sort of procurement, and we need to kind of put something out there and let's build it and see if they can that old thing. And they did, basically. They did. They came in droves and people were like, yeah, this is really useful. Oh, this is really nice. This is really good. Oh, I didn't realize these companies existed. And then the suppliers were like, hey, this is amazing. Like, you know, you're putting eyes on our product and, you know, we're being seen against some of our biggest competitors who have got like a massive marketing budget and a massive kind of, you know, sales force, and we're just a small startup that have kind of just starting to find our niche in a customer base, and you're kind of putting a spotlight on us.
Because sometimes the tech works, but it might not have the sales powerhouse or the marketing powerhouse of the brand to be able to cut through against everybody else, right? Exactly.
And some of the best products that have ever existed have died off before we've even heard of them for that very reason. You know, they weren't backed by the right thing, or they didn't have they didn't have a strong enough go-to-market strategy.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of see RecTools is sort of the spotlight place to kind of be like, if you've got a good product and you genuinely back your product, then people will find it. And when people find it, they'll buy it because it's a good product.
And do you think there's benefit? Well, I know there's benefit in this as well. It's actually having some level of honesty around where your product fits, because from a salesperson's perspective, they want to sell everything to everybody, but actually having some independent verification or whatever it is to say that works really well for startups, which we'll talk about, or that works really well for fast growing company.
You've got to have the right product for you. Absolutely. And I think this is where the evolution of kind of the sales world that we're in now is kind of moving to, because I don't by any stretch of the imagination believe that sales is dead, but I don't think sales is separate to marketing anymore. I think sales is a part of marketing. Yeah. And a good marketing approach to your product suite is to qualify out the people that your product's not suitable for. Salespeople, we cast the net far and wide and we try and get everybody involved, right? Square peg, a round hole. Oh, I know this isn't quite what you're looking for, but it will do it. The rise of things like Zoho and HubSpot, because it's sort of like, it sort of does what you want and you can kind of bastardize it to make it work, was led by that. But then you've got these super, super niche CRMs as an example that are coming out going, no, we're perfect for temp runners within a, low salary, high volume market. That's our niche. That's what we're going to go out for. Yeah. Now, these guys are never going to have the sort of the go-to-market strategy that a bullhorn powerhouse would have. And so, what you really want is as a consumer, you want the business that you're trying to do business with to kind of be honest with you and be like, look, you're not our ICP. So let us go after them. And actually, you need to be looking at this product suite or these competitors of ours.
And, it depends on that company's vision and growth plans as well. So all this talk of marketing, I can hear Louise purring in the background around this, fitting into sales and stuff. So he's not even looking at us.
No, he's trying to avoid eye contact.
So, okay, let's talk about evolve that into this idea of a recruitment community.
Yes.
Then, so RecTools was created. How important is this community? Convince me on it.
I think it's the most important thing in business right now.
Yeah. And when we say community, what do we actually?
So for me, community is a broad stroke, right?
Yeah.
I would argue kind of 90% of the people that I speak to will openly admit that the majority of their business and their sales come from recommendations, referrals, and their network.
Yeah.
Network is community.
Yeah.
Right? But kind of wider than that, a community helps you, sound ideas. You know, a good, having a good network and a good community around you supports your growth, supports you in your bad days. You know, picks you up on those times when you need it. It's I think for me the most fundamental part of a successful recruitment business. The reality is, when you're working for a big corporate, historically, when I was, this was certainly the environment then, was that you're told competitors bad. Don't talk to anyone. You know, don't engage with those people.
This was the query that I've got. You know, we're talking to the importance of community, but recruitment is historically very closed shop. Yeah. You know, don't tell your friends, don't tell your family anything about who you're working with, what candidates you're talking to.
And that bleeds into how they do their job. Though, I mean, I've witnessed candidates going to an interview like, I can't tell you who I'm interviewing with, not because I don't want to, but because the client, the recruiter hasn't told me. They're going to message me the postcode and tell me where to go, and things like that. Right, this whole cloak and dagger thing, and that kind of that mentality obviously bleeds into kind of how you then approach it when you decide, oh, I'm going to go and set up my own business. Yeah, and it's just wrong. It shouldn't be the way it is. I mean, it took me far too long to actually realise that there are people like you out there who, you know, are ethical, that do care, that will happily pick up the phone to you and be like, mate, I've had an awful week. How's your week been? Yeah. You know, and you know, a community of people that you can kind of just sound off with and talk to, and
has to be trusted.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. This is it. But see, I'm a believer in, again, this is the kind of the nuance of it, right? The trust piece is amazing, because I was in business with somebody whose entire ethos was, I don't trust anyone until they build trust with me. Trust is earned. Yeah. Not given.
Yeah. That's fair, I think.
I don't think so. I'm the other way around. I trust everybody.
Give them the trust straight away.
Yeah, I trust. It's up to you to break that trust. Now, if you break that trust, then look, then you know, you're welcome to eat, but just not at my table. Yeah, right? Yeah. But I go in with every interaction of like, you know, there's no reason for this person to be, you know, full of malice, or ill intentions, and I think that mentality is what you find breeds a better, stronger community. Yeah, you know. I had an awful end to last year, with the recruitment business shutting down and my relationship with my business partner falling apart. And I had people there who were kind of like, look, you've got these good ideas, you know, RecTools, we can do something with this, and stick at the podcast and that kind of thing. They had nothing to gain from, you know, listening to me moan on the phone for an hour at a time. You know, they didn't gain anything from being like, let's meet up for a coffee, you know. Oh, you're starting to look a bit more confident now. You're starting to act a bit more like, you know, that's community, right? Yeah. That's kind of, you know, friendship and network. And then those people who then go, I'm going to put you in touch with this person because actually they'd be great on your podcast, or they'd be really good here.
This is personal brand, isn't it? We're getting to a personal brand level whereby, you know, you're talking around a lot of and sort of coming into startups and things. If you're going to start a business, a lot of the time you're starting it based off of your personal reputation. Yep. And your reputation goes before you, right? So if you've tucked some people up, you know, if they've sort of let out to you that they're recruiting for XYZ company, and then you've gone and kind of nicked it or whatever it is, that sort of stuff gets remembered basically forever, doesn't it?
Of course it does, yeah.
But if you're the person that's gone and said, okay, you know, I might have some help here, you know, might have someone that you could, actually, I might know someone that you could have, you know, split fees, whatever, I don't know. But like, if you're just generally there to help people, that's when the referrals then start to come from.
Exactly right? That, right? It's not it's an old kind of Gary V nugget of advice, but the whole concept behind sort of give prospects or people that you want to do business with in the future, you know, give them things for free. Do things for them, you know, build up my old manager used to call it an emotional bank account with them, right? Deposit into that emotional bank account without the need for a transaction there and then, because the transaction will come. Yeah. The transaction will come over time, because what you're doing is you're inviting that person into your community, right? You know, RecTools is free for every recruiter. I could have and have been advised by multiple investors who have looked at it as a proposition and gone, you need to be charging memberships. You need to be charging people to join this community. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, right? We're running events and stuff soon. Again, the concept behind the events is it's free to attend for recruiters. The recruiters aren't the ones with, you know, tons and tons of cash. They're the ones that are struggling right now. They need the value.
Yeah.
You know? And so my place in the world is to, okay, let's provide that value, like the podcast. Provide that value, build that community, because the community creates trust, and the trust then results in transactions.
Yeah.
Because then when I, in sort of what will be now 4 months from today, go to market with an AI tool that I'm building that is going to be paid for, the trust is already there.
Yeah.
We like this guy. We like what they do. And you mentioned personal brand. Absolutely. Personal brand is just the name for it now. But like way back then, people were doing it, right?
Well, it's just a different name, but it is reputation, isn't it? And,
That's it.
They're a good person to do business with,
Yeah.
or they're a snake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so that's a reputation that you can
Your
build
name
up.
is your word. All of these sayings have been in business for decades, for eons.
Just like to be reinvented as something else.
And
Right,
now,
have a book on it.
This is yeah, absolutely. But now it's called personal brand. But personal brand is massively important. And if you're thinking about starting up, don't wait to start up before you start building your personal brand. That just seems like a backward way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like you would save up to buy something, right? In exactly the same way. The personal brand is not something you can go to the bank and get a loan for.
And without getting into a kind of how to, a whole thing about building your personal brand, is it as simple as kind of deciding, what sort of business person you want to be and then acting in that actual vein? Is it as simple as that?
Well, it kind of is and kind of isn't. I don't think it's a case of you decide what business person you want to be. You're either a trust is earned or a trust is there person, right? That you are what you are. There's no point in sort of going, I want to be like this person.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to build my personal brand around. Because what ends up happening is eventually the mask slips, right?
Yeah.
And then you get found out. And the downfall of that and the impact of that on your personal brand and in your community, is massive.
There's a betrayal somewhere.
That's
isn't
right.
There?
Yeah,
People
yeah.
feel betrayed.
I'm a big wrestling fan, right? And I did pro wrestling for many years, and we would always.
Now that's a nugget.
Yeah.
Now that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Wrestling.
Yes.
Like you're into it.
Yep. I was a big wrestling fan. I decided to go and learn how to do it, and realised there's a massive independent scene in the UK, and was involved in that for a number of years until a few injuries stopped my
this is mega.
Yeah, wow.
This is brilliant. Right. Okay. I mean,
hence the affinity for long hair and
yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was your wrestling name?
It was TN Star. It was
TN
given
Star.
to me. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
It was part of like a thing, and yeah.
And
it stuck for some reason.
You went and learned the throws and all that
wrestling.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And did you
a
do
guy
it?
my size able to do front flips and things like that. Yeah.
And did you like?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you? And is
great.
this available on YouTube? Are we gonna?
So this is early sort of. This was about 2007 through till about 2010.
Yeah.
So YouTube was not really that big of a thing.
Yeah.
We had DVDs.
Yeah.
This is how long ago it was. We actually had DVDs, and I didn't buy any because I at that time, and kind of still am like this, where I don't like watching myself on screen and things like that.
No.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, but yeah, no, it was great, right? But again, what we would teach these kind of newbies coming through was sort of the character that you want to play has to be your personality dialed up to 10.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's authentic.
Yeah.
And if you are a wrestling fan, you'll know of examples of professional wrestlers who are really good wrestlers that just never make it because they try to be something they're not, or they're trying to portray a character that just isn't natural to them, right? It's like me saying to you, oh, you know what, Dave, what would really hit with the sort of the tech community within the recruitment world would be if you played like, a gangster. Like, so I need you to start wearing flat caps and start,
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. And you could be like, I could try it.
I've got a flat
like,
cap, actually.
You could give it a go, but like, there's only so long before eventually you're going to be like, this is stupid, right? And people will cotton onto that. And it's that. So your personal brand, and when you talk about, again, taking it back to community, the people that you want in your community and the, it takes a village to kind of raise the person, they only want to give you their time if they feel that you're being authentic back with them, right?
Yeah.
If you're having a shit day, having a shit day.
Yeah.
And
it's okay.
That's right.
To say, I think this year feels a little bit like there's been a lot more honesty within the industry, because it used to be the stock phrase, if you run a recruitment business, how's it going? We're flying.
Yeah.
We're smashing it. Record after record. That was the stock phrase, irrespective of what's going on. And that's maybe not recruitment, that's just sales in general. Whereas I feel
certainly in recruitment, it was, you're absolutely right.
Can't say anything else.
Yeah.
Whereas I think maybe after COVID, like, people have started to be a little bit more honest. So,
There's a combination of things. It's consumers are more aware now as well, right? So if somebody who I feel like this person's lying, I can check company's house.
Yeah.
It's not difficult for me to check company's house and go, you said you're doing well. That don't look very well.
Yeah.
And it isn't. And I think that, accompanied by the fact that people have accepted that personal brand plays a massive part in the success or failure of your business, and being true to who you really are and that kind of thing, plus the sort of the mental health awareness piece that we've got going on, I think finally people are kind of letting the slip a little bit. I call it old guard, new guard, right?
Yeah.
I think there's an injection of new blood and new mindset coming into the industry that is challenging the old ways of competitors bad, our business good, everything great, you know, growth of people equals success. Like, what a stupid metric.
That's another success metric, isn't it? How many people have you
I ran a recruitment business with 15 headcount. What was your profitability? We turned over 25 million. What was your profitability? And then it all came crashing down. What was your profitability?
We lost 3 million a year. But don't worry about that.
Exactly, right?
15 people.
That's a great story. Great, brilliant. But let's actually talk at the numbers. And I think that, coupled in with, taking it into the sort of the startup world now, I think we are, and I've said this on my podcast a few times now, we're at the end of the decade of the entrepreneur. People don't want to, generally people don't want to start, scale and exit a business anymore. And we're into the decade of the freelancer, of people who are kind of like, I have a specific set of skills. If I can get 3 or 4 clients that are willing to pay me for my time, I can do 3-4 days a week and have the rest of that time back for me, because time is more valuable than money. And I think that was probably the only positive that came out of COVID was that mentality. Yeah. So there has been a record number of recruitment agencies closing down in the last couple of years, year-on-year growth on that. But the number of the ones that are opening up is also increasing year-on-year. But if you actually look into the numbers, these are lifestyle businesses. When you've got businesses like, investment houses like the likes of 11 Investments or Recruitment Entrepreneur, who have kind of shifted their business model to account for the fact that there are these people that want lifestyle businesses, there's a shift coming, right? Yeah. So that open a 50-person agency, 20 offices, that mentality, we're seeing that old guard dying off now, and the new guard's coming in.
That's cool, because that's quite a traditional kind of business model, isn't it? You know, just try and hire as many people, get bigger office as you can, a number of offices.
Because people always equate it to cash, right? Manpower was cash.
Yeah.
Take it back into the back in the days, Henry Ford, right? I need more factory workers for those factory workers to create me more vehicles.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, robotics comes in, and you're like, I don't need people. I need more of these machines. And where are we now, right? We're now sat in this next wave of revolution where I can run easily a 3 or 4 million turnover business with 3 people and a ton of tech to back that up. Which then comes back to the community thing is, your community is no longer just people who you're engaged with that are in your boat, right? We're all in recruitment and fucking hell, it's tough, isn't it? No. Your community is now, you need to be speaking to the likes of yourself, CRM vendors. You need to be speaking to, people that are on the button with RecTech that are coming through.
Yeah.
Automation software, your consultants that are out there. Like Richard Caldicott comes to mind because I met him recently on the podcast and stuff, and he's a really nice guy, right?
Yeah, he is a nice guy.
But somebody who's really got their finger on the pulse. Now, Richard Caldicott is a prime example of somebody who will happily be in your community and will happily recommend you things in WhatsApp groups and stuff. Not because he's sitting there being like, well, I'm going to make some money on this later. That will come.
Yeah.
If I can grow my business enough to get to a point where I'm like, hey, Richard, I need you to come in and actually do some full consultancy work now, great. But I'm in groups with him where people will go, oh, I'm looking for software to do this and scrape this information, and either me or him are usually the first ones back in going, hey, why don't you try this? This bit of tech's really good.
Because, you know, there's like, I met Richard a few months ago. And yeah, nice guy. But like what he's doing, you've got like Holly Langley as well. Like there's a few different people now
absolutely.
setting up
Camel
these, these businesses where they're bringing in and almost being an advisor of how you can get all these things to work together, because recruitment tech has become loaded on load. You know, there are now, you know, so many different pieces of tech that you could, that business that you're saying that you're running, you could quite easily also fail with that, because you spend all your money on 20 different pieces of tech. You only need 4. And all those 20 different pieces of tech don't even talk to each other, but you bought them because the salesperson was like,
that's right,
a diamond. So
and you've
having
bloated, but that's actually happened. So I've spoken to a number of recruitment business owners over the last sort of year, and that is the biggest issue that a lot of these are facing. Is we thought we were doing the right thing by investing in all this tech. Our guys aren't using it because fundamentally they don't understand what it actually is, because you haven't involved them in the process of decision making. You've just gone, guys, we're using this new,
welcome to your new system,
new product that's going to do this and do that and revolutionise. Can't quite sell it the way the salesperson sold it, but he made it sound great. So, you know, you need to use this.
Yeah.
Bloated themselves with all this tech, and then they're like, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
None of this tech's it's all rubbish. Oh, got to go back to the old way. Nothing beats picking up the phone, and it's like, oh God, no, we can't keep doing this,
because like then you're stuck in you know, however long your contract is, you're paying out every month.
Yeah.
And suddenly,
and then you're lying to yourself, because then you think, no, the old way was better. Oh, I've tried the new way. No, you haven't tried the new way. What you've done is you've just gone and bought the first 5 things that were shiny and nice, and sat there and oh, this didn't work. But then this is my point around the decade of the freelancer. Richard Caldicott could command quite a high salary. Holly Langley could command quite a high salary, being a consultant for the likes of Bullhorn, and talking about the Bullhorn marketplace integration products that they've got, and going out to businesses and doing that. But they're not doing that, are they? They're working for themselves. They're getting their time back, and they've got their handful of clients that pay them what they need and want to earn. To continue doing all the fun shit that they do, but also actually giving back to the community, the recruitment community. And that's the difference.
It's interesting. It's I mean, it's certainly, from what you're saying, we're talking about startup. I guess the first recommendation then is, you know, as you said, don't wait to kind of decide, you know, start to build that community and build that brand. But would you say that's the number one thing? If someone's sitting there watching this now going, I'm going to start a recruitment business in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months today, is that the first thing that they should be looking at?
I think the first thing you need to do if you're looking at starting a recruitment agency is get your business plan right. That's the very first thing.
What needs to be in that business plan? Because everyone talks about business plans. You can get templates off I did the same thing hundreds of years ago. No one actually really, I end up just filling in boxes. Like, and I never looked at it again.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing, right? So I say business plan, that has to be your Bible, right? Because that, if you truly sit down and plan out your first 3 months, first 6 months, first 9 months, first 12 months, listen, you haven't got your boss, who you might like or might not like, isn't over your shoulder anymore, making sure that you've done the things that you said you were going to. You're answerable to yourself. And that's the biggest challenge for most startup recruitment businesses, is they don't challenge themselves, right? They're not answerable to anybody. Oh, I missed that target. I didn't quite hit my call times, if you're still giving yourself call time targets, or didn't put enough posts out. I didn't talk to enough candidates. I didn't pick enough vacancies. Oh well. Yeah, it's been hard. It's been tough. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. Right? Whereas if you go back to that business plan, and that business plan has to be your guide and your mentor and your, you know, slap around the face when you need it and your pat on the back when you need it. Because that business plan has to basically be, who am I and why am I doing this? Right? That's your starting point, because then that feeds into everything else. Okay, so I really enjoy tech recruitment. So I'm going to open a tech recruitment business. That's fine, but that's a very broad thing for one person to do.
Yeah.
What specifically do you enjoy? Or where do you feel like you've got a real good niche that you can start? What's your starting point? And what do you want to build out? You know, I want to be able to work 3 days a week. Okay. But to work 3 days a week, how much money do you want to have at the end of the year or the end of the month? Work back from that. That's what your business plan is, right?
Yeah.
It's your chance to sit there and map out, here's what I want to achieve.
Because sometimes they can just be documents where you say, I'm going to do 3 placements in this month, 6 in that month, 12,
That's it.
24, and I'm going to make all this money.
And you're lying to yourself. You're looking at these numbers and going, these are ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
I've never done 24 placements in a month. What the fuck makes you think I'm going to do it now?
Yeah.
You know,
It's different. It's my business now. I call the shots.
I'm going to care.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. This is the thing. So I do a bit of business mentoring for like a few startups and stuff. And that's where we always start is, have you got a business plan? Because again, it's whether this turns into a business that you could potentially sell in the future, or whether it remains a lifestyle business or not, you've got to put the frameworks in, right? Of, you know, if you're going in with a business partner, where I made multiple errors, I went in with a business partner. I fronted the majority of the cash. We had no shareholder agreement. We had no what happens in this scenario, what happens in that scenario. We had no exit strategy. We had no vision of where we were going to take this. And it wasn't actually until I vividly remember the conversation where he was talking about, I want to grow it and scale it and hire staff and blah, blah, blah. And I went, why? I don't want to do that. I don't want to hire staff. That sounds ridiculous. That sounds like a ball ache. I don't want to do that. I'm happy just doing this.
So you got a line right from the start.
Exactly.
Agree
it took us, and this was a conversation that we had like in year 2.6, 2.5 years into the running a business together. And he's now telling me, listen, you know, I want to do this, this, and this, and leave a legacy for my kids, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there being like, I don't want my girls working in recruitment, number one. And number two, this business is a vehicle for me to earn money to do the things that I like to do. This isn't my be all and end all.
Yeah. There's two
like
very
we're
different.
Really different parts.
That's really different.
Yeah, exactly, right? And you're like, wow, this ain't good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't feel like I need this, and you are basically telling me you need this to work. And I'm like, Jesus, that's bad.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the community around us to tell us or to inform us or guide us to say, guys, maybe you want to sit down and be like, right, what happens in the scenario that end of year one of you is build more than the other? Because that's going to create resentment.
Yeah. And
So
as
what
soon as
happens
you
in
have
that
that,
scenario?
then you got a wedge
That's it.
that increases.
Exactly.
Right?
Whereas actually, if you had a business plan and a shareholder agreement and you were treating the business like a proper formal business, and you're having your shareholder meetings, you know, once a month, you were dedicating at least an hour to sit outside of the office somewhere and go, here's my gripes, here's your gripes, here's how we're doing, plotting out. We said we were going to have 6 placements a month by now. We're averaging 4, right? What we're doing wrong, where's it's going. If you'd had all of that framework in place right from day one, you'd have been a lot better off.
Sometimes those can be fairly difficult conversations as well, can't they? Because a lot of people start businesses as they've either worked together or they're mates or, you know, whatever it is. And suddenly that whole relationship takes a completely different...
But again, having a good recruitment community around you, you will have people in there who are non-exec directors who will give you their time for free because you're not quite ready for an ed yet.
Yeah.
But you could be. And so I'm investing my time. I'm giving you that thing for free today without the need for a transaction now. Because in the future, when you then see the value of what I've been doing for you, you go, look, can we formalize this?
Yeah.
Right. I'm doing some of that at the minute for he's a recruitment vendor. He's had a few ups and downs with his business and so on and so forth. And he sounds off to me all the time. Man, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm thinking of doing that. And I'll hold him to account. But well, hang on a minute. You can't complain about that when actually you did this, and that kind of thing. Because that's what a good community does for each other, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you when you're wrong and I'll tell you when you're right.
Sometimes also just verbalizing those ideas you've had. So you get to the end of the sentence and you're like, that's a really bad idea.
I've just heard that.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
5 minutes earlier in your head,
my stupid ass in my head was like, this is genius. This is going to fly.
Yeah. Interesting talking about like the growing a business and exiting it and growing it and kind of having it as a cash cow. I know I did a podcast with Mike Ames who talks a lot about that actually, and the number of businesses that, I forget the number now, but the number of businesses that do actually successfully sell and exit is quite low. Whereas a lot of these businesses make good money. And so I always thought that was quite interesting, because going back to your your model, which is saying is kind of on its way out, build a business, scale and sell and exit, that again was a traditional thing that you would do, especially also in the recruitment tech space as well. It feels to me a lot at the minute that a lot of recruitment tech providers are only doing what they're doing until they sell it, and then
building a product for spec, looking at Bullhorn, Access Group, and anyone else who's got a load of cash, and sort of almost flaunting it in front of them, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I'm going to go to Bullhorn Engage, and then I'm going to tell them about this great bit of tech. Oh yeah, no, we should talk sometime. Anyway, I'm back to, and it's sort of so transparent, right?
6 months later, LinkedIn, pleased to announce, acquired. Owners,
none of that happened.
Barbados beach.
Yeah. And then the acquisition goes through, and you're like, you bought a pony there, mate.
Yeah.
I think the thing with that is that, if you are building a business to sell it, in recruitment and with recruitment agencies, the best bit of advice I ever got, a bit of advice, it was more of a statement that was made actually with somebody in that VCPE space. And he was like, the problem you've got is when your business is primed to sell, you don't want to.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah.
I've got a team of people who are making money hand over fist. My EBITDA is looking great. We're profitable. I can take a ton of dividends out. I'm removing myself from the business every week, and I don't have, I'm playing golf. This is what I dreamed of. Yeah. Why would I sell it now?
Yeah.
It's only when things then start dipping off that, then they start looking at, oh shit, no. Come on, where's that buyer? Where are these people that were interested?
And suddenly the multiples have just gone from being very high to incredibly low.
Yeah.
But 6 months ago we were doing,
yeah, that's it.
Whatever number.
Yeah, we could get back to that, and then have a conversation.
Yeah.
Then the cycle begins again.
Yeah.
You get back to that again, you're like, wow, I'm going to sell now.
No. Before these guys start to, kind of
wrap it up, guys.
And just spotting Luis tapping his watch, wagging his finger. Let's just finish off with the whole, the value of community as a startup is really important. The value of having your business plan as something that you can refer back to, really important. If you're going with a business partner, make sure that you formalize that, at least have the conversations of what if this happens and what if that happens. Anything else that you wish, if you were starting now, that you wish you knew before?
Yeah. Don't lose sight of your why. Sounds really corny, but I set up and went alone and continued to do what I do now, rather than going and claiming a salary and stuff, because I want to take my kids to school and go to every sports day and parents' evening and family picnic and whatever else BS they throw at us in the weekly newsletter.
Schools do quite a lot, don't they? Get more newsletters from a school than...
This next few weeks, I've got sports days and this and that, and I'm just like, oh God, right, okay, can't do that day. Right, okay, move that podcast. But I lost sight of that. When we then started growing and scaling the old recruitment agency, I lost sight of that and found myself bound to my desk and having to be in and getting annoyed at the kids because you're making me late. I've got to go there. I've got to do this. And I've got this to do. I've got that to do.
Stress.
Which then in turn made me resent what I was doing. And I think that resentment then feeds into poor performance.
Yeah.
Right now, if I go back and talk to like 25-year-old me and be like, mate, we work for ourselves. We do this. We do that. This is our day. Take me now. Please take me with you. Don't leave me here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we get so caught up in and this is the guys that I'm doing mentorship and stuff with. We always start with remember the why. Why were you doing this? Because you're going to come in here and things are rubbish and the market's charred and no. Okay, but did you get to do all the things that you wanted to do? I ran a recruitment agency for nearly 7 years. I got to take my kids to school every single day. Never missed a parents' evening. Never missed a school play. Never missed a school disco or anything. And took them to the park every day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the business shut down. Yeah, there's a financial implication to that. But if you'd have asked me that 7 years ago, do you want this? And this will be the outcome. I'd have snapped your hand off for it.
That's it. And what a good kind of thing to end on, I think. That's
a bit corny, I know, but
no. I think it's an important thing. The why is like you said, it's a bit of a cliche, but actually you dig a bit deeper into that yourself. So good. Nitin,
It's been
brilliant.
Good. It's been fun.
Thank you, dude. It's
Thank you.
That's been really, really cool. Hopefully everyone watching found it interesting as well. We'll see, but they'll tell us if they didn't, I guess.
They won't.
No, just won't watch it.
They just won't watch it. Yeah, they vote with their eyes.
Brilliant. Super.
This is good.
Thanks
I
for coming
appreciate
on.
that. Thank you
Cheers,
very much.
buddy.
Thank you.